I think the biggest lesson is to go for it. And I think I'm going to go back to what you said at the beginning. Like, we're all going to die eventually, and why not just do whatever we want to do, rather than, question. Choosing a path, it's not going to be, just rose petals. It's going to be hard, and you just have to keep going and focus on the journey rather than the destination.
Yeah, and there's a quote, I think Zendaya told in Spider-Man, be prepared for the worst, expect the best, I think, something like that. That's life, right? I mean, shit's gonna happen all the time, but if you prepared for it, then you can get through it very easily.
I went through a phase where I didn't know why I was doing it, but you have to kind of go back to the point where you fall in love with the art form itself. The first time I expressed to a teacher that I want to become a dancer, they told me, you will never be good enough. And I was 12. I struggled so much to overcome the fear of being good enough, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous if I think about it now. So I would tell that person to not care what anyone says or thinks about her. Just keep going and just enjoy.
Maria Dimithriou, welcome to our podcast. This is our first online session. You are currently in London, UK. And the reason I wanted to invite you and have this the conversation with you in our podcast is because you are a professional performer, professional artist, and I think you have a lot of great stories to share with people in the topic of like meta performance and like and a lot of struggles and beautiful stories that you can share with us. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Well, Leonia, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this conversation with you. I've known you since we went back to we went to the same high school together, and I've been following your journey with your podcasts. And I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, time flies, huh? Time flies.
It does.
Yeah, so I will start with the same question as everybody. If you meet somebody strange in the road or somewhere else, and they ask you, "Who are you?" What's the first thing you're gonna say about yourself?
First things first. I'm a musical theater performer.
Mm-hmm.
I live in London. I really value friendships, hard work, dedication. I'm very passionate about the arts. I'm trying to think. It's a good question. There's so much to say. Based in London, I live far away from home, live far away from my family. That's challenging itself, but I always know that I can go back home whenever I need to. So I would say, I have strong character. Sometimes it can come across as intimidating, but I'm really nice, I promise. Mm-hmm. Nothing else comes to mind.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. So let's take it to day one. What brought you in? What inspired you to start dancing in the first place or performing arts?
To be honest, the first memory I ever have in my life is of my grandma holding me and dancing. So my earliest memories in life, they just include dancing and singing and just anything that has to do with expression. From a very, very, very young age, I expressed my interest in becoming a dancer. I would visualize myself on stage as well. I don't realize it. Funnily enough, I could see myself back then, and sometimes today I struggle to see myself on stage. It's just who I am, I would say. The most fulfilled I feel is when I'm on stage and it's kind of doing my thing. And it was never even a question that I would end up becoming a performer. So it kind of naturally happened.
Yeah, I imagine it will be hard to choose to follow a profession like this, because especially in Cyprus, we like to follow the stereotypes. You have to go to college, like find a good degree, find a good job. So, what made you decide that you want to follow this career path in the beginning? And say, fuck it, I'm going on this. It might not happen, but I'm gonna try.
It was just a matter of me being true to myself, and it was a matter of I'm a very truthful person. I'm very honest with myself, and I don't think I could have ever lived with myself knowing that I would do that, and I didn't do it. So it was, I just didn't want to stay with the what if question. I wanted to kind of feel it feels like it's my purpose. So I just wanted to give myself that opportunity to live a life, because it's a life, it's not just a career of a performer.
What would be an advice you can say to someone that starts or want to start this career now and follow this career path?
First things first, this career comes with a lot of sacrifices. It requires a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, dedication. My whole schedule is around this life. I don't get weekends. Usually my days off are during the week, and they're not even like days off. The only reason I have them during the week is so that I have days to audition, or if I need to self-tape, I will do that. Because most auditions happen on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays. So my whole life is scheduled around my career. And I have like different side hustles. So when it comes to young people that want to chase this dream and this career, I would say that they have to make a very conscious decision that they're choosing a lifestyle. I think it's very important to learn to be kind to ourselves, because rejection is a major part of this career. Actually, the most challenging bit of the career is not the job, is getting into a job. And it can take, I know, I'm going to take me as an example. I graduated. I was blessed enough to get into a job straight after college. And then something very unexpected happened, which was COVID. And it resulted an abrupt end to the contract. 4 years down the line, I have done small gigs, but I've been auditioning I was kind of out, I would say, for a couple of years because of personal issues. But once I've been back, I've been auditioning for different shows the last 6 months, getting to finals, and just don't get it. And,
wow.
And it's really hard, because you have to kind of you have to step away and see the whole picture, and just kind of have trust in the timing of your life, and reassure yourself that from the moment that you do get to finals, it's a matter of timing, that things will happen. But it can be very, very, very challenging mentally and emotionally to get to that point. Personally, I tend to self-blame and think that there's something wrong with me and I'm trying to fix everything, etc. But I think it's a matter of being kind to myself, and the fact that getting to finals is validating.
Yeah. So basically, from what I'm hearing, like, do the maximum effort, like that, and control the controllables, and then don't be too focused on the outcome, because unfortunately the outcome is not something you're gonna control, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that, because I think, like, growing up, we are very outcome driven. You know, you have the tests in schools, you have to excel in sports, whatever. So everything is outcome driven. So it's very hard to go out in real life and do everything possible as Maria, as a performer, and then nothing good happens, good in quote unquote. So I can't imagine how hard it will be, especially because it's very unpredictable and it's very uncertain, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any tricks or any like something that you use that you can overcome, or like to help you ground yourself or whatever in these scenarios?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me is my basically my friend circle. Obviously, since I live so far away from home, I don't receive any emotional support from like family, not really. I mean, you can talk to someone over the phone, but because they're so far away, you don't want to worry them too much. So it's usually, I've got a group of female friends that I love so much. We have a very similar mindset of like, we're all driven and everyone's like super dedicated in their craft. So I know I can always go to them and speak. And sometimes I need love. Sometimes I need love. Sometimes I need slap. So I have a group of people that I trust, and I always go to them. That's first things first. Second, I'm an advocate of therapy. I support therapy. I've been doing therapy for the last 4 years, and I don't think there shouldn't be a stigma on it. I do think that everyone should go to therapy. It's just a matter of developing like different life skills. And changing perspectives, helping you understand and cope with different situations, and training, physical training. Even when I wake up one day and I'm having a bad day, I feel triggered or whatever, or I have intuitive thoughts, if I move my body in any way, I know I will feel grounded by the end of it. A good cry always helps as well. Release emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Breath work. Breath work is very, very important to kind of regulate the nervous system, I think.
Tell me about
breathing. I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been reading about it like quite a lot recently, you know, and it's sounds very interesting, and a lot of people started doing, you know, the past few years. Tell us more about how did you find this breathing, and how do you incorporate it in your routine?
I love podcasts, by the way.
Yes.
So I was listening to the Diary of the CEO, and it was just a podcast about Wim Hof breathing. And actually at some point, I was coming out of a very low period of my life, and I spoke to my brother, who's actually a chiropractor, and he suggested I use Wim Hof to heal my nervous system as well. And to be honest, when I do the breath work, it kind of reminds me of free diving, because I love free diving. I'm self-taught, so I don't know, like, I don't really know any techniques, but it does kind of remind me the feeling of being underwater and having to keep calm when you feel like you're running out of oxygen. So I mean, I follow different things. I try to meditate. I try to I think the most important thing is to keep present. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you keep being present in reality.
Yeah, and like you said, and so far, everybody that came to this podcast said the same thing. The group of support, like the friends around you, or like the people around you, it's one of the most important parts, because they will keep you grounded. They will push you up in times like you have a setback or something. So it's good that you mentioned that as well. Breathing is very important, because even if we do it just mindfully, just focus on your breathing, because we breathe all day and we hardly ever focus on it. We just do it. So if we do it just consciously and mindfully, it's enough to regulate a lot of things. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So yeah, let's take a step back, and we're gonna come back in the audition, this position, because I'm very interested to learn more about it. When you decided that you want to do these studies, what was the position? You just find a college and you apply?
So funnily enough, no one really knew the process in Larnaca, the city that I grew up in, and at the school. No one really knew the colleges. Everyone was kind of diverting me to universities, but universities, the thing is, if you want to learn how to be a performer, you don't want to go to university, because you don't really receive proper training. There are performing arts colleges around London and around the UK that provide specific training to become a professional, so that you can actually work in the industry. These colleges usually, they offer a level 6 diploma, which is equivalent to a degree, but it's not a degree, simply because you focus on the physical part of becoming a performer rather than the educational part. Even though we had to do different researches about the industry, directors, etc. You still have to do academic work, but it's not very deep. So I knew I knew Iliana, which is George's sister, Georgia Neves, who's already he's had an amazing career on the West End. And I remember back then, it was just before, I think it was as soon as I started A-levels. And I remember I was so anxious, because I remember I felt like I was running out of time. And I remember one day going home and saying to my parents, "Oh, I know this person who has received a scholarship to one of these colleges, and he's gone to study musical theater and dance." And then my parents helped me out to kind of find a teacher that knew how to do that, how to get me to that level. So we ended up going to Antigone, which you've heard of. Big shout out. She's an amazing person. She believed in me from the moment I stepped foot in that school. So we went with my parents to have a chat, and obviously because my dad went to the States, he kind of had this idea of me going to the States, but she mentioned that she just said, "I don't really know the system, so I would suggest that we go down the UK route." And then we ended up applying. We had to do the application processes ourselves. It's quite separate from school, I would say. They don't give you much guidance because they don't know. It's not that they're just lacking of knowledge. So I think it's just finding the right people in Cyprus, to get you to that level and get you into these schools to audition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so from what I'm hearing, your parents were very accepting with this idea, right? Of you going to study in this college or this degree, right? Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because we hear a lot of times like people want to go study these kinds of degrees, and because they are not in the stereotypical route, they have some pushback from their parents, you know, and they end up doing something completely different, and which they hate. So that's why I'm asking. So it sounds like your parents were very supportive from the beginning.
My parents were supportive, but they were definitely worried because and they're still worried. It's something that is very unknown to them. They know nothing about this industry. And I have to navigate it by myself. They have been and they're still very supportive. Throughout my journey, it was never a question of me whether doing it or not. Even, you know, we've heard many things about me that are not true. But you just have to kind of keep going and know who you are. Your people know who you are, and it's fine. 1 year in, 1 year out.
Wow. May I ask what things they heard, or if you want to share?
I mean, the most common thing that I've heard from Cypriot men is that I should end up becoming a prostitute or a stripper because I am studying dance and musical theater. And
what?
It's heavy. I know. It's heavy. I mean, friends of mine, I've had friends of mine tell me that, even as a joke, which is not a joke. But yeah, that was, and I've had a woman in my life that was meant to be my friend, and she was shaming me behind my back, and I only found out like 5-6 months ago. So it's a really hard place to be, but you just kind of have to, I always say that the people that want to see the good in you, no, actually it's the opposite. It doesn't matter what you do for someone, they will always interpret things the way they want it to. So that gives me peace, and yeah, I just stopped trying too hard with people because it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, people will judge whatever we do, right? Even if it's good or bad for us, people will judge anyway. So yeah, my mindset is, who cares? You know, people will judge anyway. I'm gonna die soon anyway in a few years. Nobody's gonna remember. So I'm gonna do what makes me happy, and let them judge. You know.
Yeah.
And more often than not, the people that judge you in the beginning or like made fun of you, they come and cheer you, and they tell how they met you when you are growing up or something. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right on that. I think it's just human nature, and I think it's important to know that it has nothing to do with us. It says more about them than it says about the people that are actually trying. And I do think that people that are actually successful in their lives, not successful in the sense of, oh, I've got money, successful within themselves, like they know who they are, they're confident, they work on themselves, they work on their craft. They will never judge anyone who's actually trying to do something with their lives. It's usually the people that are not, because they just want to kind of downgrade other people to their level to make themselves feel comfortable with whatever. So.
And more often than not, they try to fill a void. You know, maybe it's an insecurity or something they wish they had the chance to do, but they didn't. But yeah, the people that are successful, like you said, they never judge because they know how hard it is, right? Yeah. So yeah, what's the definition of success to you?
That's a very good question. For me, it's to be fearlessly myself, because over the years, I've kind of, within this industry, I've ended up, and in my life as well, I'm a great chameleon. So I've been a chameleon my whole life. So now it makes me a great actress, but it's problematic in my life. So I think it's a matter of me staying true to myself, not caring about what anyone thinks of my art, the way I express myself, because that's another thing. Like experiencing auditions and rejection over and over again, it just inevitably it's a huge battle within yourself, and you're constantly trying. Well, I got a rejection yesterday, funnily enough.
Wow. Okay. How did you respond to that?
Initially, I wanted to kind of close up and feel bad about myself and question what's wrong with me, but I didn't. I thought, you know what, my self-worth, it shouldn't derive from an acceptance or rejection. Yeah, it's hard, but you just have to keep going. I tried to step away and look at the bigger picture, and it calms me down to think that, oh, you know what, it's fine. Like I can sing, I can act, I can dance, so I could be doing this for the rest of my life. At some point it will. So yeah, I just tried to take a step back and see that that's just like a very tiny dot in my lifespan. So that calms me down a lot.
And it's all part of the process, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And all you need is one big win, right? And then all these quote-unquote losses, they're gonna go away, and they're gonna be stepping stones in your like career or like your success. Yeah, I have a friend in college now. We studied together, and he's been trying for the past 2 years. I think he started some acting lessons, and he's going to some auditions. He's doing different stuff like ad campaigns and all these things. And I'm asking him how it goes and how he reacts with failures, because more often than not, like I think he goes around like probably 100 auditions, and so far he took like 2 or 3 roles out of like 100, probably something like that.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bigger, I don't know. It's a bigger, I think they have more opportunities. Not all of them are very, like, he gets more wins, but they are very small wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's more like small campaigns. Anyway, yeah, and he reacts very well to the losses, and he tells me every time I go somewhere, it's better for me, for my confidence. Next time I'm more prepared, more. Less anxiety, which is very like important, and I remember my lines better. I try new things, so every time he is not succeeding is a stepping stone towards the next better thing.
Auditioning is a skill. The more you do it, the better you become at it. Yeah,
tell me more about it. I want to know
auditioning.
Okay, let's make it more specific. First of all, you have to learn a script before going there, or?
It really depends on which route you're going.
Okay.
Usually with me, I get a script and I get songs as well. Because usually they call me in for supporting roles or just roles in general. So yes, I mean, the last audition I did was in Germany. It was Hercules, a musical. So I actually had to learn how to speak German and sing in German.
Wow.
Which took me a couple of weeks of like a lot of work. Yeah. Thankfully, I've got a really good support system. So I had people that could help me with German. So I mean, if I'm going to speak about Germany, obviously I was called in 2-3 weeks before. So I had to book tickets, all expenses by yourselves.
By yourself? Wow.
Yeah. Obviously if it's in London, it's just around the corner, but yeah, sometimes we do have to travel abroad for other auditions. So yeah, I was called in. I had to make a decision. I had to kind of see if I could move my schedule around. Went there for the first rounds. Usually, it doesn't really matter if you're a singer or a dancer. Usually, you're always asked to dance first. It's just because they have to know whether you can move or not. And well, sometimes, well, it depends. Sometimes you sing before, but usually there are different rounds. It starts with a dance round. Then if you make it through, you get to sing. Then they might do another dance round. And in every level, there are cuts. So you're taught, you go in the room, you're taught a routine. Then you get to practice it for, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes, I would say. And then you go into smaller groups to perform it for them, groups of 3 usually. And you get to do that twice through to kind of see your, so they can see your stamina as well. And then usually step out of the room for 15 minutes and then they come out and they mention the people that they would like to see further. And it's basically the same thing in every step that you go through when you're auditioning. Usually within a day, I wouldn't say there are more than 3 rounds because it can be physically tiring. And usually they will call you to go back again for more rounds. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they give you this routine, this choreo, or like this script. How do you remember it?
That's another, like, we have to pick up. Picking up is a huge part of being a performer because most of the time we go in a room, we're taught something in the moment and we have to perform it up to a certain standard so that they can decide whether they would like to see us again or whether we're suitable for the show. That's why we have to keep up with our training like every week. And picking up is a huge part of what we do. So it's not like running, where you have to run. There are more layers to that. You've got the performance layer where you have to show, up, even if it's hurting. You just keep going. You're smiling. You're performing with your face, facial expressions, with your body language. So you have to look basically look beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're running, you don't care. You just run.
Yeah, you have the ugliest face.
Yeah.
You're struggling.
So you've got the performance element. Then obviously you have the technical element that you have to be aware of, keeping your lines. Performance includes, I'd say, musicality, acting as well. So when you're dancing and you're auditioning for a musical theater show, you have to kind of create a character. For example, if you're auditioning for, Greece, obviously you're pretending to be a high school teenager. So you kind of have to create a character. And it's usually quite animated, depending on the show. And then, obviously you have to pick up whatever they teach you as well at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you have any strategies that help you remember or break down these routines?
I would say, usually when they teach something, before I get in the room, I try to do some warm-up exercises for the brain. My therapist gave me these exercises, just like turning my wrists, one wrist, then out, then in, then both, and then I do that. It's just I think it wakes both hemispheres, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know, but I always try to do those exercises. And then when I'm in the room and they teach us, usually they teach us in eights. So they'll probably teach us 2 or 3 eights and then count. And then they will play the music to put whatever we learn in coordination with the music, to basically dance it to the music. And then they will teach us more and then repeat the same thing. Sometimes when I get stuck, let's just say I get stuck and I can't figure out 4 counts. I try to master those 4 counts. Then I try to link the counts before, the movement before and after the counts that I got stuck in, so that my body knows that transition into the part that I struggle with the most and how I get out of it. So it's just kind of thinking of the choreo sections. Then if you get stuck at any point, just going through that section until you get it and then linking it with the part before and after. And musicality is a huge thing as well, because most of the times people choreograph either on lyrics, most of the times they either choreograph on lyrics or on beats. So it's just kind of, once the music starts, to kind of link it with whatever's happening in the music at that point.
Wow. Sounds very complicated to me.
It's magic when it happens.
Yeah. And before you talked about visualization.
Yeah.
Do you do that? Yeah.
Yeah. So usually before I get into an audition, I always go in like a prayer position. It's not really religious. It's more, well, I don't know if it's not that I'm praying to God at that point. That's not what I mean.
It's spiritual. Like, yeah.
It's spiritual, but it's just kind of getting into that position, and kind of seeing myself how I would, like, it's usually the energy that I want to give out more than the way I look. It's kind of creating the vibe that I want to put out, that I focus on. I kind of feel that energy, and I have this visualization that kind of happened over the last year, where I'm basically floating in an ocean of gold, and it's very peaceful. Mm-hmm. And I'm just there and I'm just floating, because I'm such an ocean baby that I love the ocean so much. And most of the times I go back to that. It's where I feel at peace and more in contact with myself. So yeah, that's another visualization of mine. I'd say these are the 2 main ones. Yeah. Okay.
So when you try to learn a performance or a routine, you don't visualize yourself doing that. You just visualize yourself being in a happy place, right? So helps you be in the mood.
That's before I get in the room.
Okay.
When I'm in the room, to be honest with you, if I'm in that state of flow, which I usually get in the way I described, I just pick things up and I just perform, and I'm just not, I just kind of let myself out, and I try to kind of disconnect with, just be connected to myself, and give that energy out, rather than caring of, wait, are we talking about performance or audition now? Sorry.
Anything. Yeah. Both.
It's different.
Yeah.
When it comes to audition, I think it's more disconnecting with caring of how I'm being perceived, and it's more about how I feel. Mm-hmm. When it comes to performance, I remember there's such a connection with the audience. There is this energy flowing between the performer and the audience. It's a give and take rather than just you performing. It's magical. It's the best job in the world. It is, I promise. Yeah.
Yeah, because you see directly the consequence of what you're doing. You know, you see in the faces of the audience. If you're doing something great, they're gonna applaud you. They're gonna be happy. They're gonna laugh. Depends what you're gonna do, right? So you get direct feedback, which sometimes might be bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
it's true. It's true.
Did you have any like such experiences that people started laughing, or like, I don't know?
The thing is, many things can happen during a show. Things that you don't expect. It can either be a fault on stage, or it can be something that's happening in the audience and it's putting everyone off on stage. I think it's just finding joy in that as well, and kind of being. Improvisation is such a big skill as well, so we have to kind of be able to adapt to different situations that might happen. I mean, I have experienced situations where the audience, they would either start, it was usually, so when I was touring Europe at some point, you get different reactions from different cultures. So I do remember at points getting random reactions of different things, and they can put you off. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of enjoying it. Those are the moments that we enjoy the most as performers, because as you can imagine, you might be doing a show like 6 times a week you might be doing 6 shows a week, for, I don't know, like a year or sometimes more. So those are actually the moments that you're kind of looking forward to. So.
Wow. Okay. And did you ever face performance anxiety? Like a day, for example, you were not feeling great, or you thought that you're not gonna perform 100% or whatever?
When personally, once I'm in the job, not really, because I think the more you do the show, you kind of, even when you're not feeling 100%, you kind of know, as dancers, as performers, usually dancers, because dancers are quite masochistic, if I may say. We ignore pain. We know how to fake it. Even in my life, when I'm not well, people have no clue.
How do you do it? I want to know.
Honestly, it's the way we're trained, to be honest. So when I was performing, I remember days that I was like really, really unwell. But you still do it. I don't know what to say to that. In an audition situation, sometimes it can be daunting, because you already are facing a lot of pressure to perform. So I think when we're talking about performance, we're probably, for me, it's more like getting into the job. I mean, once you're in the job, you're obviously working really hard, but the competitive element exists in the audition process. So there's a lot of added pressure to that. And usually, a lot of times, like, the auditions are more challenging than the actual show, if that makes sense, sometimes, because they try to put the bar like really high so that the people that they choose are at a certain level, so that they know that if they can probably do something easier, for example. So yeah, it's hard when you're auditioning and you're not feeling 100%. You don't know how you're going to wake up, and, you know, you might be ill, you might not be mentally or emotionally at the right place, and it can affect the results, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like those that are more mentally tough can get through the audition, are the ones selected, right? Because I'm guessing in this level, most of you are very similar, like, ability, right?
Yeah.
So it has to do with your mindset during your audition, how you look there, how you block everything else or the problems of daily life, and how mentally tough you are. So, and this, it's something it's very, very difficult because not a lot of people are trained on that, you know. I think and the only way you can train on that is actually doing, actually going there, actually failing, actually feeling the pressure. There's no, I think, my opinion, I think there's no simulation that can enact how you feel in these kinds of scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be.
No, you're absolutely right. You don't know how you're going to wake up one day and you have something going on, and yeah, it can really affect the results. Yeah.
Wow. It's very interesting, you know, because everybody says, oh, these guys are actors, singers, dancers, they have it very easy, you know.
No.
It doesn't sound very easy to me.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. You were asking
No,
something.
I was just going to say we struggle a lot with comparing ourselves to other people most of the time because the arts are subjective.
Subject, okay.
Yeah. So the arts are subjective. So you never know. Yeah. We do get into this, like, sometimes we can start comparing ourselves to people that they seem more successful or they're doing better, or you start questioning, why not me? Why not this? Blah, 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 blah. But I think it's important to kind of trust the timing. Because some people, they just get there. Some people, it might take them a decade. And that's okay. It just, for me, regardless of the end result of this life I chose, I feel like I won because I know that I got to fulfill my goals, which is to perform at the most amazing stages in the world, or I will have so many stories when I grow up.
Yes.
And I will never, hopefully I will be able to pass on that knowledge to a younger generation that they want to do that. And I will be able to guide or advise on what to do or what not to do. And yeah, I will never have to live with the what if, which is a huge part of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. The what if is crazy, you know. And I always say, you never try, you never know, right? I mean, at least you tried.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not everything we try in life is gonna be successful, but you're gonna get some good stories, like you said, and you're gonna for sure be a better person than when you started.
Exactly.
I'm curious also, like on top of that, you had to leave your country. And country, from what I understanding, you loved a lot, like the ocean, the sea, everything. So how was that for you?
Okay, I'm gonna be very honest with you.
Yes.
I never really fit in when I was in Cyprus, even though I do love the country and the nature element of it. A lot of the things bothered me in a way. I like when everything's like tidy and there's structure, and as a country we don't really have that.
No, that's the way.
So I do love my life here. It's fast paced, which is very me. I get to meet so many people every day. I'm a very social person. And yeah, I get to meet so many people, so many internationals. So yeah, I do love my life here. Going back to Cyprus, obviously it's really hard when you don't have that support, like immediate support from your loved ones, from the family mainly. But my parents are always there whenever I need them. That's out of the question. But yeah, and how easy, sometimes it's really nice of how easy life feels back in Cyprus. You kind of get in the car and within 5 minutes you're everywhere. I think the biggest challenge for me was to create a life in terms of like financial stability, because for me it was very important when I left home, when I moved back to the UK after COVID, to become financially independent from my parents. I am the eldest of four, so I always have this very strong feeling of responsibility towards them to kind of, not get out of the way, but
being independent,
to become independent. For my parents not having to take care of me anymore. So when I first moved here, I spent the main goal for me was to become financially independent and stable, because with our career, it's really, really, really hard. I would love to talk more about that, because I think what I'm about to say will benefit a lot of people that are in my position. I've tried all the combinations. I've tried to be fully self-employed. I've tried the full-time jobs. And for me, the best combination is having a part-time job, 20-hour part-time job, which gives me that stability of knowing that that's going to be my rent. And I don't have to worry about that. And then whatever I do on top, it's just kind of builds the lifestyle.
Sorry for interrupting. What kind of job do you usually do, if you don't mind asking?
Of course. So I work at a fitness club, which is a private members club. And I do enjoy it. I do try to, with all the jobs that I'm doing, I'm trying not to just benefit in terms of money, but for the jobs to give me more than just money. So my part-time job, I get my membership, and I do get to meet very interesting people. And when it comes to the freelance bit, I teach mostly, and I do different modeling bits and bobs or fitting modeling jobs. I try my freelance jobs to be a higher earning jobs. And then, so mainly teaching is what I do other than the gym. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I try to, schedule everything, and my brain works. I honestly feel like my brain just loves solving puzzles. So the way I kind of organized my life, at some point I managed to have 3 days off during the week. But that meant I have very, very long days during the weekend, and basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And I'm never really off, to be honest. But not everyone does it my way. And I think every performer I'm sharing my story, and I think everyone's different and everyone's needs are different. But the way I do it, that's the way I do it, and it works for me. So I help someone else.
Yeah, and how do you balance doing all that plus also making sure your mental health, your mentality, it's in the right place? Do you have some certain windows or times that you're saying, I'm not going to do anything this day, or I'm going to do something completely different, just to get my mind away from everything?
That's probably one of my biggest struggles. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even today, I decided to not go to the gym in the morning and not go do a dance class as well on top of that before we meet and talk. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to slow down and enjoy my day. And I honestly feel like I'm on a running treadmill. My life feels like I'm on a running treadmill with no stop button. And it's, I cannot even read books when I'm here. Funnily enough, when I'm in Cyprus, I can. When I'm here, I cannot. So what I do, I listen to podcasts. I try to meditate at least once a day, I'd say. Yoga is I do yoga. I love yoga. And meeting with friends, going on walks as well with either no music, just trying to stay present and see. I mean, I can tell when I'm present and when I'm not, because all the colors, they become more vivid and I start looking deeper into nature. So I try to kind of stay present when I get those times. Even if it means that I'm in bed, I decide to just, wind down in the evening. I still, like, the main goal is to just be present and not think, because this career feels like it's 24/7. It never stops. I mean, last night I came home after work, and around 9:30, I saw a message saying, "Oh, you didn't get it," and it's nonstop.
Wow.
Yeah. So you kind of have to find moments to appreciate. And my friends, when I'm with my friends, I'm completely, like, in a state of, like, flow, and I'm present with them. Yeah. So just, a lot of yoga.
And how long do you see yourself, like, doing this lifestyle?
The truth is, I go through waves. I go through phases. From, I'd say, probably April until October this year, I was on a high. And then since October and until today, until present, I'm not at the best place that I've ever been, but I think it's a natural thing. After you get to finals and you end up not getting it, and just rejection after rejection, you start to question. I think it's natural. And I think I do allow myself to feel whatever I need to feel. I think it's very important to not suppress it, and not criticize myself for the way I feel. So yeah, at the moment, maybe like a month ago, it was going through my head, oh, how long am I going to do this? But the way so as I said, when I moved back to the UK, I was very focused to becoming financially independent. The life I've created and the support system that I've created for myself, I have a plan B and a plan C. So that gives me the freedom to choose this life. And I still choose this life. I think it goes back to the point of resilience. And I think resilience it's something that is built. And yeah, I do like to push myself quite a lot. But at the same time, give myself space to be vulnerable. I think it's very important. To be truthful, allow myself to feel certain things, and
wow, yeah. You said amazing things, because I agree with you 100%. That's how you build resilience, like learning from daily life, daily rejections, and I think Huberman said recently that the way to build willpower is doing something difficult and something that's not very enjoyable, Yeah. And when you're describing, like, your lifestyle and, like, overcoming all these rejections, it came to my mind, because my case is that you now in your daily life and in the future as well, you're gonna have a strong willpower and mental resilience to overcome a lot of other shit that life throws to you, you know, because you're doing this every day for the past at least 4 years, right? So yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you, what lessons do you think you'll get from doing all this to actual life? But I think you answered that. Yeah, I don't know if you want to like say some more or elaborate more.
Trying to think. I mean, everything I'm going through is a lesson. So I think the biggest lesson is to go for it. And I think I'm going to go back to what you said at the beginning. Like, we're all going to die eventually, and why not just do whatever we want to do? Rather than, you know, question I think what we don't understand as humans is that we live with this idea that, oh, I'm going to choose a path and that's going to be the best thing that ever happened to me. But choosing a path is not going to be, you know, just rose petals. It's going to be hard, and you just have to keep going and focus on the journey rather than the destination.
Yeah, and there's a quote, I think it's a Daya told in Spider-Man. I don't know why. I remember that. Be prepared for the worst, expect the best. I think something like that. And that's life, right? I mean, shit's gonna happen all the time, but if you prepared for it, and then you can get through it very easily. And also another thing I wanted to ask you, we don't see a lot of people doing their passions, their work. Mm-hmm. And some that they do, they eventually lose their passion to the thing that got them there. What's your opinion on that, and how do you handle it?
It's really, so it's absolutely truth that can happen. Because it's not just the performing element, or let's just say someone's producing music, or they are painters. You know, they paint. That's what they love, what they do. But their drawing might not be seen or might not be perceived as something, you know, as a piece of art, like high-end art, let's say. And they're not being recognized. And sometimes, you know, some artists, they die and they become famous after they died. And with our industry is more the whole process, like having to do, because obviously there are so many layers to our lives: survival, discipline, training, competition. It's tiring. It's emotionally tiring. And I went through a phase where I didn't know why I was doing it, but you have to kind of go back to the point where you fall in love with the art form itself. So during periods that my schedule is crazy. I mean, the last 6 months, I've had probably 2 or 3 months with 0 days off, which I'm not proud of. I don't think anyone should put themselves through that. And you kind of lose, it sucks the life out of you. I think for me, it's just going back to dance class and dancing without thinking, oh, I need to improve this. Oh, this needs to be perfect. Oh, I didn't manage to do this. Blah, blah, blah. It's just connecting, basically dancing from the bottom, like soul, like from just for the enjoyment part of it rather than the training part of it. Because it's very easy for that to go. Yeah.
Yeah, something we learn now in my degree is that intrinsic motivation is one of the most important things, because it's very long lasting. If you have intrinsic motivation in what you do, you don't allow external factors to destroy that. Does it make sense? So, like you say, if you go back and remember why you started it and how much you enjoy it, everything else doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
As long as you remind yourself that I do that because I enjoy that, and because myself, like 20, how old you say you started? 5, 6?
Wait, what?
You're dancing and stuff.
I started dancing when I was 5.
Yeah, like going back to that emotion and how you felt then, I think it's very important. Yeah. And on that, if you could give an advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Oh. My younger self, just to honor her, she went through a lot when it came to that. Because the first time I expressed to a teacher that I want to become a dancer, they told me, you will never be good enough. And I was 12.
And why did they say that?
Well, we're going to go back to how we mentioned that people are people based on them. So I think looking at it from my current perspective, I think that person did that for their own reasons. They had their own reasons. Doesn't matter. We're not going to get into that. And then that really, really destroyed a huge part of my journey, because even I remember when I was trying to get into college and when I was in college, I struggled so much to overcome the fear of being good enough, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous if I think about it now. So I would tell that person to not care what anyone says or thinks about her, and just keep going and just enjoy the journey, honestly, because life is a journey. That's what I would say.
Nice, I love that. And what is the best advice you ever received, or a quote or something you heard? It doesn't have to be advice.
Best advice or a thing that I've heard.
It might be a motto or a quote that you said to yourself.
Personally, I try to remind myself that we're all stars and that we're all meant to shine. As humans, we're all meant to shine in our own way. And that's a major thing for me, to not compare myself to anyone else and to celebrate others. I think that's so important. Just that I'd probably say celebrating others and not feeling intimidated, or just experiencing life from the inside out rather than constantly feeling like living life from the outside in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what's the worst advice you ever received? I'm guessing what your teacher told you.
The worst advice was, here's so many things. I can tell you what was one of the worst things that I was ever told. Honestly, Leondia, I really try to filter what I hear, and if something is not important or it doesn't add value to my life, I don't remember it.
Nice. Nice.
Unless someone tried to diminish me in any way, I use that as fuel to show them.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
And tell us one moment, if you could go back in one moment in your life that you've, like in your career or whatever, that you felt amazing, what would that be?
Okay, I'm going to tell you one of the favorite moments of my life. When I got a job, when I was doing a musical, I would always go backstage before. I would always go in the wings, you know, and the lights would be ready for the show. And I would just stand there and everything felt slow motion. And I would just close my eyes and I would be in an absolute state of gratefulness. And I would just cherish that moment. And I will never, ever, ever forget that. I will never forget that feeling. And I think that's one of the core memories that keeps me going. That feeling of just looking at the lights, being absolutely grateful to God, to my existence and for my existence, and just taking the energy in of the stage. Yeah, that's a core memory.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's from me. I ask you what I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you wanna share some stuff that I didn't touch upon.
I would like to shout out some incredible Cypriot artists that I've come across over the years that who've positively influenced my journey. Shout out to Stavrina Kusparu, Elias Chinas, Andriani Kostandi, Andriani Themistokleos, Andri Kuku, Bias Beast, Andreas Filippou, Marios Panagi, Alexandros Besmondes, Emilia Shelley, Nicola Andreu, and George Arminis. So some of these individuals, they've influenced me personally, but they opened up paths for all of us Cypriots in the arts on a global level. And it was either through their artistry or perseverance or the way they created art. And they have left a huge impact. They left a huge impact on me. And they've gave me so much strength to carry on my individual path. And I think it's important to recognize the talent of the Cyprus community. And I just want to celebrate their amazing contributions because they've been such an inspiration to all of us.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And it's very important to have role models and mentors, right? And people that you can follow.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. And while we were exchanging messages, you told me something about, I didn't know something about sexual discrimination. Do you want to touch that a bit or?
I mean, it goes back to the point of how women, I'm sure that men that are artists as well, they experience some sort of discrimination. But as women, we're immediately labeled as prostitutes, strippers, which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong. Like, people will do whatever they want to do. But for someone who has spent more than 100K on their education and on my skills and my developing my craft, it's humiliating, and it's disappointing that there are people in the secret society that they still perceive arts as something shameful. There's nothing to be ashamed of when someone moves their body. They express through dance, they express through singing, they express through dancing. So, yeah.
Okay.
Acting, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, especially in Cyprus, we are very easy to and quick to judge, and put people, and we like putting people in stereotypes. Like, you do this, you are this. You do this, you are this, which sucks, And it's important to hear stories from people like you that they do something out of the ordinary, and that follow a path that is not an ordinary path, especially for Cypriots, right?
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, when it comes to professional sports, professional arts, and everything in between, it's very hard to create a career here in Cyprus. And most people that do it, as we see from your case as well, they have to go overseas.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because we have a beautiful island, beautiful place.
We do.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great to hear stories from people like you, and I really hope that aspiring professional in performance arts will hear your story today, and will get the motivation needed to push through and say, fuck it, I'm gonna try and see where it goes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to put it out there. Whenever I meet someone who's young, and especially when they're Cypriot, I've told them before, feel free to message me. So I'm always open for any sort of guidance. Not that I know any better, but I'm trying. So if there's something that I've learned and someone doesn't know, I'm happy to share that information. So yeah, feel free to contact me.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, you heard from people that already did it, and you heard from their stories, and they help you to choose the right path. So you can do that in people coming, like inspiring professionals as well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was amazing. I enjoyed it very much.
Oh, I enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.